Hello everyone and welcome to my USA Tube Gossip channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. Today on The Young and the Restless, Kyle learns Victor wants him back with Summer, Lily's displeased about Audra and Holden's lunch together, and Damian and Nate head to Chicago. Crimson Lights, Summer tells Kyle she was just about to call him. Her mom has been found. You're not even going to believe it. She was kidnapped. It gets even crazier. Sharon was taken captive with her. They were locked up in an abandoned psychiatric clinic. Kyle asks who would do such a thing and why. Summer says they don't know. It wasn't about money as no ransom demand was made. She explains that Nick and Billy found them after getting a text clue from the kidnapper. Kyle marvels that it all sounds so crazy. They puzzle over who would do something so bizarre, and why. They're still out there, so what's to stop them from coming after Phyllis, Sharon, or another family member? Kyle's sorry Summer's family is being targeted. Summer thanks him for being so solid and supportive. Thank you for caring so much about me. Kyle's smiling into her eyes when Claire walks in. Kyle and Summer bring Claire up to speed on Phyllis's abduction with Sharon. Claire knows how scary that can be. Summer sighs that it's been one thing or another. One psychopath after another attacks her family. She's sure this had more to do with Sharon than her mother. Kyle reminds her they don't know the motive. Summer's glad they spoke to Harrison about it when they did. A kid at school told him his grandma might never come back. It just happened this morning. Luckily, they'd prepared him. Claire is glad Summer came to get Kyle when she did. Summer's glad she approves. Claire assures her cousin that the evening still worked out for her and Kyle. It was a win-slash-win for everyone. Summer fixes a coffee with a glum look as Kyle and Claire make plans to have dinner later and kiss. Claire says goodbye and she's glad her mother is back, and then leaves. Summer asks Kyle for lunch. They can talk about how wonderful their son is for an hour or two. Kyle smiles. Society. Holden spots Audra and teases her about being glued to her phone. She snarks. Aren't you supposed to be back in Los Angeles? His flight was canceled due to weather. She's glad the delay had nothing to do with her. If he said it didn't, he'd be lying. Knowing he'd be stuck here for a while made him think of her. Audra reminds him that their past is just that, the past. Holden reminds her she promised to be a friend. Audra says it will never be more than that. He can't rekindle something between them. Holden insists he has nothing but respect for her connection with Nate, unlike how he felt about Tucker. He asks why she keeps pushing him away, yet accepts invitations for coffee. She's sending mixed messages. Audra sighs. He's right. There's something I need to come clean about. Audra tells Holden that Nate saw his message and returned the text saying, "You've got one," when he asked to have her as a friend. Holden asks why Nate would do that. Audra can only imagine he was trying to prove he wasn't jealous. Holden asks what she would have said if Nate hadn't spoken for her. Audra's not sure. She's not opposed to having a friendship with him, but she can't trust him not to take advantage of the situation. Holden gives her his word. Audra's still skeptical. Holden asks her to have lunch with him. Audra claims she's waiting for Nate. Holden says that's perfect, he won't mind if he stays and joins her for lunch. Audra chides that he's pushing his luck. He grins. Nate's place. Lily is close to signing a new artist. Devin notes she's moving into his side of the business. She will let them know more details when the ink dries. Devin's glad she came on board. Lily also has news about a big tour. Devin and Nate needle that she's just trying to show off now. A knock comes at the door. It's Damian. He asks Nate if it's true that his mom's been admitted to a hospital in Chicago. Nate frowns. Is she all right? Damian hopes there's no cause for alarm. All he knows is she was admitted. She said something about a new experimental treatment. Nate's taken aback. The last he heard, she was waiting to hear if she was a viable candidate. Damian thinks he's out of the loop. Nate checks his phone and learns that Amy and Dr. Kelly both tried to reach him. He steps out to call back. Damian apologizes to Lily and Devin for interrupting their meeting. He wonders why they had to admit his mother so quickly. Devin thinks it's good they're not wasting time. Damian admits he's nervous. What if something goes wrong? Damian says he's been through this before, losing a parent too soon. It's traumatizing. Lily tells him she and Devin have been through it too. They understand. Devin thinks Amy felt confident enough to consent to the treatment. Nate appears and says that's right. They're treating her and monitoring her for a reaction. Dr. Kelly thought it best to start the protocol right away. Damian worries they're rushing Amy into this, but Nate says she's in the best possible hands. Damian worries about not being there with her. He'd like to try and get there before it begins. Nate feels she'd love to have him by her side. He suggests they both go to Chicago so they can be there before she's released. Damian thinks that's a great idea. Lily and Devin assure Nate they can cover for him while he's gone. Damian tells them it means a lot that his brother can be there with him. Nate announces he'll have to let Audra know he can't make it for lunch because he's going to Chicago with his brother. AT Society. Holden tries to coax Audra into another drink, and she informs him he's trying too hard and won't be having lunch with her and Nate. Just then, Nate calls and updates her that he and Damian are going to Chicago. She knows Amy will love having them both there and asks him to give the woman her love. She disconnects and Holden muses, "It looks like you're free after all." At Nate's place, Devin asks Damian how he likes Genoa City so far. He finds it charming. It's hard not to fall in love with the people. Lily's sure it's far from the glamour of LA. Damian chuckles. Clearly, she doesn't know much about his life there. Talk turns to Amy having lived there years ago. Damian wonders why she left or didn't come back to stay. It feels like a good fit for her. Devin thinks he should ask her. After their father passed, there were a ton of questions they'd have liked to have had the opportunity to ask. Damian is focused on her health for now. Nate appears with a bag and Lily and Devin leave. Damian asks Nate if they can stop by the club so he can get a bag too. Nate says of course. Damian shakes his hand and thanks him for everything. Nate smiles. AT Society. Audra and Holden move to a table and he pushes her again to have another drink. She resists and he muses about the fun-loving Audra from LA. She says that version of her doesn't exist anymore. Holden doesn't believe her. Audra doesn't care. Holden reminds her of their boozy lunches at El Coyote. Audra groans and complains about him ordering margaritas by the pitcher. Holden laughs about her singing Metallica songs at the top of her lungs. That was fun. Audra laughs. It was. Just then, Devin and Lily walk in. They ask to be let in on the joke. Audra changes the subject to Nate going to Chicago with Damian. Lily says they just came from his place. Introductions are made, and Holden says he met Lily before but not Devin. Audra hopes Amy's treatment will turn things around for her. She's grown to care about her a lot. There's something about her that warms her heart. Lily snarks that she seems brighter lately, what with the laughing and joking. They trot off, and Holden tells Audra that it doesn't seem Nate's family has warmed up to her. At their table, Lily asks Devin what he thinks that was all about. Kyle and Summer walk into the GCAC and immediately encounter Victor, who greets his beautiful granddaughter and says hello to Kyle. He asks why the two of them are together. Summer says Claire bailed on lunch with Kyle, so she took him for a mercy meal. Victor asks Kyle how things are going at Jabot. Kyle says things are going very well. He and Summer head to their table, but Kyle walks back. There's no way he's happy things are going well between him and his dad at Jabot. Why is he asking about Jabot? What are you really trying to find out? He obviously wants to know if there's trouble brewing between him and Jack. What is this obsession you have with my family? Why can't he just move on? Victor claims he's forgotten about all of them and tells him to have a nice day. Nate and Damian walk into the foyer of the club and Damian heads upstairs to get his bag. Nate leaves Amy a message letting her know he and Damian are coming to Chicago and will see her soon. In the dining room, Kyle complains to Summer that there's an ulterior motive behind Victor's every move. Summer concedes that he'd love to hear about any new tension in the Abbott household. She thinks it's mostly to do with his hatred of Jack, but she's sure Claire is a part of it now too. Kyle wonders why he cares if he and Claire are together. Summer admits, "I think my grandpa thinks you, and I should get back together." Kyle asks if he really thinks he can push them back together. Summer says they both know how much he values family. Meddling is what he does. He believes he's the puppet master and can dictate everyone's lives. Kyle asks why he'd want them together. Summer says he made a point of reminding her they share a child. She's not advocating for this. just interpreting what her grandfather thinks. Kyle is sure she's right, but finds it unfair for him to put Claire in this position. In the foyer, Nate lets Damian know that he left Amy a voicemail. Damian thanks him again for all he's done. Now, they just need the treatment to work its magic. Nate knows this hasn't been easy for Damian, but it might have a happier ending than any of them could have imagined. Damian would like that. Nate claps his shoulder. Have faith. At Society, Devin tells Lily not to read too much into Audra and Holden's lunch. They knew each other in LA. Nate doesn't need them interfering. Lily thinks this new scenario is coming into Nate's life from all sides. She worries it's an ambush and senses there's a lot more to the story than what Damian and Holden are telling them. Today's Young and the Restless recap airs in the USA on Tuesday, March 18, 2025, and airs one day ahead in Canada. We post our YNR recaps every weekday. Summer locates Kyle and informs him about her mother. Kyle wonders who kidnapped Sharon and Phyllis and insists there must be a motive. Summer says they were taken for no apparent reason. There's still something about the whole thing that bothers her. She won't rest as long as the kidnapper is still out there. She thanks him for being supportive of her during this. Claire enters and sees them together. Audra wants to know why Holden isn't back in LA. Holden says his flight was cancelled due to heavy storms. He would be lying if said his hanging around town had nothing to do with her. Seeing her makes him not hate the delays so much. Audra wonders what she has to do. She reminds him that the past is the past. Holden respects how connected Audra and Nate seem to be. He points out that Audra is sending mixed messages, and he isn't sure what to think. Audra admits to letting Holden be misled and assume something. Holden wants details. Audra says the text was from Nate. She believes Nate is trying to prove he isn't jealous. She isn't opposed to being a friend for Holden, but she can't trust him not to take advantage of the situation. Holden wants to prove himself to her. Audra doesn't believe there is a way. Holden wants them to have lunch and believes Nate won't mind since he's not jealous. Audra accuses him of pushing his luck. Lily meets with Nate and Devin about Winter's business. Damian knocks and wants to know if Amy was admitted to the hospital in Chicago. This is news to Nate, and he wants to know what happened. Damian said that Amy's doctor wanted to start the new experimental treatment immediately. He tells Nate he should check his phone. Nate sees he missed their calls and leaves to return them. Damian apologizes to Devin and Lily for interrupting their meeting. Lily hopes this is promising news for Amy. Damian wonders why it was so urgent for her to be admitted. Devin suggests it's a good thing they aren't wasting any time. Lily tells Damian not to jump to any conclusions. Damian isn't over the loss of his father and is not ready to face it again. Lily knows the struggle of losing a parent. Damian believes he's preparing himself for possible bad news. Nate re-enters and informs Damian that Dr. Kelly thought it was best to start the treatment right away. He assures Damian that his mother is in the best hands. Damian wonders if he has time to make it to Chicago. Nate suggests they both go and be there for her when they release her. Claire asks Summer if there is any news on Phyllis. Claire can't believe that both women were abducted. Summer is tired of psychopaths targeting her family. Kyle reminds her they don't know who is responsible for this latest event. Summer is positive it has more to do with Sharon than her mother. Claire is happy they prepped Harrison for the topic and promises Summer the date was ruined. Claire tells Kyle she can't do lunch and is only there to pick up an order for her and Nikki. They kiss goodbye. Claire tells a silent Summer bye, and she is happy for Phyllis. Alone, Summer suggests that Kyle join her for lunch. Damian is surprised to hear that Nate wants to go with him to Chicago. Nate apologizes for intruding. Damian believes it is a great idea. Lily believes Amy will be happy to see them. Nate needs to let Audra know he can't make their lunch. Victor is surprised to see Summer and Kyle together. Summer says she is treating Kyle to a mercy lunch since Claire had to bail. Victor asks Kyle how he and Jack are getting along at Jabot. Kyle tells him things could not be better. Victor is surprised by the news. Summer intervenes and takes Kyle to their table. Kyle returns to Victor and reminds him of his doom and gloom predictions for his family. He knows Victor can't be happy. He wants to know what Victor is really trying to find out. Victor admits he couldn't care less about Jack and Kyle's relationship. He insists he was only being polite in front of Summer. Kyle isn't buying Victor's story. Holden orders another round of drinks. Audra gets a call from Nate. She is happy to hear about Amy and understands why he must go. Holden points out that Audra is suddenly free for lunch. Audra and Holden move to a table for lunch. She advises him not to get any ideas. He offers her another drink. She points out the time of day and insists that one is more than enough for her. Holden reminds her that the Audra he knew never modified her drinking on the rising and setting of the sun. Audra clarifies that she is no longer that person. Nate goes to pack while Damian makes small talk with Lily and Devin. Damian tells them he understands the charm of Genoa City. Lily believes it must be a far cry from the glamour of LA. Damian wonders why Amy ever left town, and also why she never returned to stay. Devin tells Damian about the questions he and Lily never asked Neil. He doesn't want Damian to fall into the same trap with Amy. Damian is only focused on getting his mother through this treatment. Nate comes down with his luggage. Lily and Devin wish them safe travels. Damian thanks Nate for everything. Lily and Devin are caught off guard seeing Audra having lunch with Holden. Lily can't help but call out the good time Audra is having. Audra introduces Holden. She hopes the treatment is successful for Amy. Lily and Devin go to their table. Holden suggests that Nate's family hasn't warmed up to Audra. Audra nods in agreement. Nate leaves Amy a message while Damian grabs his bag. Damian returns and hopes for a happy ending. Nate wants him to have faith. Summer wants to know if Victor said to upset Kyle. Kyle says that is an all-the-time thing with Victor. He still believes Victor is plotting against his family. Summer doesn't believe it is paranoia. She believes her grandfather thinks they should get back together. Kyle wonders why Victor believes he can push them back together. Summer says that family is what Victor does. Kyle insists that Victor can't dictate their personal lives. She knows Victor thinks of himself as the puppet master. Summer claims she is not advocating for this. Kyle hates how Victor has put Claire in the middle of this. Summer says she agrees. Lily can't stop fixating on Audra and Holden. Devin instructs his sister not to read too much into it. Lily senses that Nate is walking into something bad and heartbreaking. Devin points out that they don't need them to protect them. Lily doesn't agree with her brother. At Crimson Lights, Summer tells Kyle she was just about to contact him. Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. On The Young and the Restless, Kyle finds out Victor wants him back with Summer. Lily is upset about Audra and Holden's lunch together, and Damian and Nate are leaving for Chicago. Her mother has been located. You won't believe it at all. It gets even stranger. Sharon was captured along with her when she was abducted. They were imprisoned in a shuttered mental health facility. Kyle queries why and by whom someone would do such a thing. Summer claims that since no ransom demand was made, they are unsure and that it had nothing to do with money. She says that after receiving a text clue from the abductor, Nick and Billy were able to locate them. It all sounds so weird, Kyle thinks. They wonder why someone would do anything so strange. What's stopping them from pursuing Phyllis, Sharon, or another family member now that they're still out there? Kyle apologizes for the targeting of Summer's family. Summer expresses gratitude to him for his unwavering support. When Claire enters, Kyle is grinning into her eyes and says, "Thank you for caring so much about me." Kyle and Summer inform Claire about Phyllis's kidnapping with Sharon. Claire is aware of how frightening that can be. Summer laments that it's been one thing or another. Her family has been attacked by psychopath after psychopath, and she's certain that Sharon was more responsible than her mother. They don't know the motive, Kyle informs her. Summer is happy that they discussed it with Harrison at that time because a schoolchild warned him that his grandmother might not return. It only occurred this morning. Fortunately, they had him ready. Claire is happy that Summer arrived at the right time to pick up Kyle. Summer is happy that she agrees. Claire reassures her cousin that she and Kyle had a successful evening. Summer fixes a coffee with a sullen expression while Kyle and Claire decide to eat supper later and share a kiss. It was a win-win situation for all. Claire leaves after saying farewell and expressing her happiness that her mother has returned. Summer invites Kyle to lunch so they can spend an hour or two gushing about how amazing their son is. Holden sees Audra at society and makes fun of her for being addicted to her phone while Kyle smiles. "Aren't you supposed to be back in Los Angeles?" she snarks. The weather forced the cancellation of his flight. She is relieved that she was unrelated to the delay. He would be lying if he claimed it didn't. He thought of her because he knew he would be stranded here for some time. He is reminded by Audra that their past is simply that, the past. She pledged to be a friend, Holden reminds her. He cannot reignite their relationship, according to Audra, and it will never be more than that. Holden maintains that, in contrast to his feelings for Tucker, he respects her relationship with Nate. He questions why she consistently rejects him, yet accepts coffee invitations. She is conveying conflicting messages. Audra lets out a sigh. He is correct. Holden is informed by Audra that when he asked to be friends with her, Nate read his message and replied, "You've got one. There's something I need to come clean about." Holden queries why Nate would act in that way, and Audra surmises that he was attempting to dispel his jealousy. If Nate hadn't spoken for her, what would she have said? Asks Holden. Audra is unsure. She doesn't mind being friends with him, but she can't rely on him to not take advantage of them. She gets Holden's word. Audra remains doubtful. Holden invites her to join him for lunch. According to Audra, she is awaiting Nate. That's great, Holden says, and he won't mind staying to eat lunch with her. Audra chastises him for trying too hard. He smiles. Lily is on the verge of signing a new talent at Nate's establishment. Devin observes that she is entering his business. When the ink dries, she will provide them with further information. Devin is happy she joined the team. Lily has also told me about a major tour. She's just attempting to show off the Devin and Nate needle when Damian knocks on the door. He queries Nate on the veracity of his mother's hospitalization in Chicago. Nate frowns and asks, "Is she okay?" All Damian knows is that she was admitted, so he hopes there's nothing to worry about. She made reference to a novel experimental therapy. Nate is surprised. He last heard that she was awaiting word on her candidacy. Damian believes he is not informed. When Nate looks at his phone, he discovers that Dr. Kelly and Amy have both attempted to contact him. He leaves to make a follow-up call. Lily and Devin are apologetic to Damian for disturbing their meeting. He questions why his mother had to be admitted so soon. Devin believes that they are saving time. What if something goes wrong? Damian acknowledges that he is anxious. Damian claims that he has experienced the loss of a parent too soon. It causes trauma. Lily informs him that she and Devin understand because they have experienced it too. Devin believes Amy was comfortable enough to agree to the treatment. That's correct, Nate says when he appears. In addition to treating her, they are keeping an eye on her for any reactions. Dr. Kelly believed that the protocol should begin immediately. Nate assures Damian that Amy is in the best possible hands, but Damian fears they are pushing her into this. Damian is concerned about missing her. He wants to attempt to arrive before it starts. She would like having him at her side, according to Nate. He proposes that they both travel to Chicago in order to arrive before her discharge. That's an excellent idea, in Damian's opinion. Devin and Lily reassure Nate that they can fill in for him while he's away. Damian informs them that having his brother present means a lot to him. Holden tries to get Audra to buy him another drink at Society, but she tells him he's trying too hard and that they won't be eating lunch together. Nate says he'll have to tell Audra he can't make it for lunch since he's heading to Chicago with his brother. Nate informs her over the phone that he and Damian are traveling to Chicago at that same moment. She urges him to show Amy her love since she knows she will adore having them both there. Holden thinks, "It looks like you're free after all," as she disconnects. Devin asks Damian how he's liking Genoa City, so far at Nate's house. He finds it endearing. It's difficult to resist falling in love with the locals. It's definitely not as glamorous as LA, Lily agrees. She obviously doesn't know anything about his life there, as Damian laughs. The topic of Amy's years-long residence there comes up. It seems like a good fit for her, so Damian wonders why she left or didn't return. Devin believes he ought to ask her. They would have liked to have had the chance to ask all of the many questions they had when their father passed away. For now, Damian is concentrating on her health. Lily and Devin go as Nate shows up with a bag. In order for him to receive a bag as well, Damian asks Nate whether they can visit the club. "Of course," answers Nate. Thanking him for everything, Damian shakes his hand. Nate grinned. Holden and Audra go to a table at Society, where he presses her for another drink. She pushes back, and he thinks of the carefree Audra from LA. According to her, that version of herself is no longer there. Holden doesn't think she's real. Audra is unconcerned. She is reminded of their drunken dinners at El Coyote by Holden. When he orders margaritas by the pitcher, Audra moans and gripes. Holden chuckles as he hears her belting out Metallica tunes. It was enjoyable. Audra chuckles. It was. Devin and Lily enter at that very moment. They request to be included in the joke. Audra shifts the conversation to Nate and Damian traveling to Chicago. They just came from his place, Lily explains. After introductions, Holden claims to have met Lily, but not Devin. Audra is hopeful that Amy's treatment will help her. She has developed a strong affection for her. She finds something endearing about her. With all of the laughing and joking, Lily snarks that she seems smarter these days. Holden informs Audra that Nate's family doesn't seem to have warmed up to her as they gallop off. Lily asks Devin at their table what he believes it was all about. As Kyle and Summer enter the GCAC, Victor welcomes them and says hello to Kyle, referring to him as his beautiful granddaughter. Why are you two together, he wonders. Summer claims that she brought Kyle to a compassion meal after Claire abandoned them during lunch. Victor inquires about Kyle's progress at Jabot. According to Kyle, everything is going great. Kyle returns, but he and Summer go to their table. He is not content that his relationship with his father at Jabot is going well. He wants to know about Jabot, but why? What exactly are you looking for? It's clear that he wants to know if a conflict between him and Jack is developing. Why are you so obsessed with my family? Why is he unable to simply move on? Victor encourages him to have a good day and says he has forgotten about all of them. Nate and Damian enter the club's foyer, and Damian goes upstairs to retrieve his suitcase. Amy receives a message from Nate informing her that he and Damian will be visiting Chicago and will see her shortly. Kyle laments to Summer in the dining room that Victor always has a hidden agenda. Summer admits that he would be interested in learning about any recent conflicts within the Abbott family. She believes that his hate of Jack is the main cause, but she is certain that Claire is now also involved. If he and Claire are together, Kyle questions why he should care. Kyle asks if he truly believes he can bring them back together as Summer confesses, "I think my grandpa thinks you, and I should get back together." Summer claims that they are both aware of his strong family beliefs. What he does is meddle. He thinks he can control everyone's lives because he is the puppet master. Why would he want them together? Kyle asks. He specifically reminded her that they have a child together, according to Summer. She is merely interpreting her grandfather's thoughts. She is not arguing for this. In the foyer, Nate informs Damian that he left Amy a message. Kyle is certain she is correct, but feels it is unfair that he placed Claire in this situation. For everything he has done, Damian praises him once more. All they need to do now is wait for the medicine to take effect. Although Nate is aware that Damian hasn't had an easy time, things could turn out better than either of them had anticipated. That's what Damian wants. Nate gives him a shoulder clap and says, "Have faith." Devin cautions Lily not to make too many assumptions about Audra and Holden's lunch at Society. In Los Angeles, they were acquainted. They shouldn't get in the way of Nate. Lily believes that Nate's life is being impacted by this new situation in many ways. Today's Young and the Restless recap airs in the USA on Tuesday, March 18, 2025, and one day ahead in Canada. She fears it's an ambush and feels there's much more to the tale than what Damian and Holden are telling them. Every Wednesday, we share our Y&R recaps online. Summer finds Kyle and tells him about her mother. Kyle questions who took Sharon and Phyllis and demands that there must be a cause. Summer claims that they were taken without any explanation. She is still bothered by something about the entire situation. As long as the kidnapper is still at large, she will not stop. She expresses gratitude to him for helping her through this. When Claire walks in, she sees them together, and Audra wonders why Holden hasn't returned to Los Angeles. Holden claims that severe storms caused the cancellation of his flight. If he claimed that his sticking around town had nothing to do with her, he would be lying. He doesn't detest the wait as much when he sees her. Audra questions what she must do. The past is the past, she reminded him. Holden admires the apparent bond between Audra and Nate. He notes that Audra is giving conflicting signals and that he is unsure of what to make of them. Audra acknowledges that she let Holden to be duped and make an incorrect assumption. Holden wants specifics. According to Audra, Nate sent the SMS. She thinks Nate is attempting to demonstrate his lack of jealousy. She doesn't mind being Holden's friend, but she can't rely on him to not take advantage of the circumstance. Holden wants to show her how capable he is. Audra doesn't think it's possible. Since Nate isn't envious, Holden thinks he won't mind if they go to lunch together. He pushes his luck, according to Audra. Lily meets with Nate and Devin to discuss Winter's business. When Damian knocks, he wants to know if Amy was sent to the Chicago hospital. Nate is curious about what transpired because this is new to him. According to Damian, Amy's physician wanted to begin the new experimental medication right away. He advises Nate to look at his phone. Damian apologizes to Devin and Lily for disturbing their meeting, and Nate leaves to return their calls after realizing he missed them. Lily hopes Amy will find this encouraging. Damian questions why her admission was so essential. Devin says it's fortunate they aren't wasting any time. Lily advises Damian to avoid making any assumptions. Damian isn't prepared to deal with his father's passing again, since he isn't over it. Lily understands how difficult it is to lose a parent, and Damian thinks he's bracing himself for potential terrible news. When Nate returns, he tells Damian that Dr. Kelly believes it would be best to begin therapy immediately. "My mother is in the best hands," he tells Damian. Damian questions whether he will have enough time to travel to Chicago. Claire asks Summer if there is any update on Phyllis, and Nate offers that they both go and be present when they release her. Summer is fed up with psychopaths pursuing her family, and Claire finds it hard to accept that both women were kidnapped. They don't know who is to blame for this most recent incident, Kyle reminds her. Summer is certain that Sharon is more to blame than her mother. Claire informs Kyle that she can't have lunch, and is simply come to pick up an order for herself and Nikki. Claire is pleased that they prepared Harrison for the topic and assures Summer that the date was ruined. They exchange farewell kisses. Claire is pleased for Phyllis and bids a silent farewell to Summer. Summer, by herself, invites Kyle to lunch with her. When Damian learns that Nate wants to accompany him to Chicago, he is taken aback. Nate says he's sorry to have interrupted. Damian thinks it's a fantastic concept. Amy will be pleased to see them, Lily thinks. Victor is shocked to see Summer and Kyle together, and Nate needs to inform Audra that he will not be able to join them for lunch. Summer claims that because Claire had to bail, she is giving Kyle a mercy lunch. Victor inquires about Kyle's relationship with Jack at Jabot. Victor is taken aback by the news, but Kyle assures him that things could not be better. Kyle is escorted to their table by Summer. When he gets back to Victor, Kyle reminds him of his dire predictions for his family. He is aware that Victor cannot be content. He wants to know what Victor is actually looking for. Victor acknowledges that he doesn't give a damn about the relationship between Jack and Kyle. He maintains that he was merely being courteous to Summer. Victor's narrative isn't convincing to Kyle, so Holden orders more cocktails. Nate gives Audra a call. When Holden mentions that Audra is suddenly free for lunch, she's pleased to hear about Amy and comprehends why he must leave. Audra and Holden then proceed to a table for lunch. "Don't get any ideas," she says. He offers her another drink, but she says that one is more than enough and points out the time of day. Holden tells her that the Audra he knew never changed her drinking habits in response to the sun's rise and set. Audra explains that she is no longer that person. Damian strikes into a conversation with Lily and Devin while Nate packs. Damian assures them that he recognizes Genoa City's allure. It must be really different from the glitz of LA, Lily thinks. Damian questions why Amy left town in the first place and why she never came back. Devin shares with Damian the queries he and Lily never posed to Neil. Damian is solely concerned with getting his mother through this treatment, and he doesn't want him to get into the same situation as Amy. Nate brings his luggage down. Devin and Lily hope they have a safe trip. Damian expresses gratitude to Nate for everything. Devin and Lily are taken aback when they witness Audra eating lunch with Holden. Lily can't help but comment on how much fun Audra is having. Holden is introduced by Audra. She wishes Amy a successful outcome from the procedure. Devin and Lily head to their table. Holden implies that Audra has not gained the support of Nate's family. Audra nods in agreement. Damon picks up his luggage as Nate leaves Amy a message. Summer wants to know if Victor said something that hurt Kyle, while Nate encourages Damian to have faith and return with the promise of a good ending. According to Kyle, that is a constant issue with Victor. He continues to think Victor is planning an attack on his family. In Summer's opinion, it is not paranoia. She feels her grandfather wants them to reconcile. Kyle questions Victor's belief that he can force them to do so. Family is what Victor does, according to Summer. Kyle is adamant that Victor cannot control their private lives. She is aware that Victor considers himself to be the puppet master. According to Summer, she is not supporting this. Kyle detests Victor's decision to involve Claire in this. Summer replies she agrees. Lily is obsessed with Holden and Audra. Devin warns his sister not to make too many assumptions. Lily has a feeling that Nate is about to encounter something unpleasant and devastating. Devin notes that they don't require their protection. Lily disagrees with her sibling. The Young and the Restless continues to captivate audiences with its intertwined relationships and unexpected twists. In the latest developments, core characters are engaged in a web of intrigue that centers around suspicion, hidden motives, and strategic family dynamics. Notably, Lily Winters is increasingly unsettled by the behavior she observes in both Damian Kane and Holden Novak. At the same time, Summer Newman steps forward to expose an underlying agenda spearheaded by Victor Newman, aimed at manipulating relationships within the Abbott family. This detailed narrative explores the personal dilemmas, unspoken alliances, and potential for conflict that define the lives of these well-known characters. As the storyline unfolds, each character's personal motivations and historical baggage come to the forefront, providing ample opportunities for dramatic confrontations and shifting loyalties. Lily Winters, long recognized for her keen intuition, finds herself increasingly suspicious of the intentions of both Damian Kane and Holden Novak. Her instincts tell her that there are layers to their behavior that may conceal dangerous or manipulative agendas. This growing mistrust is not a sudden epiphany, but rather the result of cumulative experiences and subtle observations. Conversations with Nate, as well as directly witnessing ambiguous interactions, have only served to heighten her vigilance. Within the complex narrative of the show, Lily's concerns are not merely about isolated incidents, but part of a broader pattern that involves past secrets and conflicting loyalties. Despite initial impressions of charm or sincerity, both Damian and Holden have histories that hint at concealed aspects of their identities. For instance, recent interactions have given Lily cause to consider whether these individuals might be deliberately masking their true motives. This suspicion underscores the intricate dance between trust and deceit that is central to the series. As these suspicions grow, Lily is propelled into a narrative arc where her determination could lead to potentially explosive revelations. Her quest for truth is not only about protecting herself, but also ensuring the safety and stability of her close relationships within the community. This investigative drive positions her as a key figure in the ongoing plotline, where every conversation, glance, or seemingly offhand remark could be imbued with deeper meanings. Both Damian Kane and Holden Novak are depicted as characters with enigmatic pasts that are slowly coming to light. Their actions and interactions with other characters are laced with ambiguity, prompting viewers like Lily to question their loyalty and underlying intent. The dual focus on these characters introduces an additional layer of complexity to the narrative. Damian Kane's hidden agenda. Damian's behavior has recently become a focal point of inquiry. Lily's suspicions are particularly directed towards potential hidden agendas that may be emerging from his past. Despite being charming and seemingly sincere at times, there are nuances in his conversations and behavior that suggest a deeper, possibly darker, plot at work. The lack of transparency in his actions makes him a compelling yet unpredictable figure on screen. Past associations and covert activities observed by Lily add further tension to their interactions. Holden Novak's enigmatic nature. Complementing the mystery surrounding Damian is Holden Novak, whose own past is shrouded in secrecy. Historical hints and contentious encounters suggest that Holden might be concealing information about previous dealings or relationships. Anecdotes from his past, as well as current subtle cues in his behavior, contribute to an overall atmosphere of uncertainty. This is further compounded by interactions with characters like Audra, whose inquiries hint at an undisclosed background that could have significant ramifications for the unfolding storyline. Parallel to Lily's personal quest is the crucial revelation made by Summer Newman. In one of the more stirring moments of recent episodes, Summer discloses vital information about Victor Newman's orchestrations. This strategic move exposes an underlying plan aimed at reuniting Kyle Abbott with Summer, an effort that is deeply interwoven with Victor's characteristic knack for manipulation. Victor Newman's long-standing schemes. Known as a master manipulator, Victor Newman has long been involved in the intricate dynamics of family and business relationships. His current agenda is to ensure that certain romantic pairings, particularly involving Kyle and Summer, are restored, even if it means sidelining established relationships like Kyle's connection with Claire. Victor's actions continue to reveal the complexities behind his character. While his motivations can be construed as protective in nature, they also serve his broader agenda of control within the Newman empire. Implications for Kyle Abbott. Kyle Abbott, caught in the crossfire of these familial and romantic plots, is now confronted with a dilemma. Summer's public reveal of Victor's intentions not only puts his current relationship with Claire under pressure, but also raises questions about whether these manipulations might lead to future conflicts. The disclosure has far-reaching consequences. It sets up potential rifts, challenges loyalties, and may reconfigure the alliances that have long defined the interpersonal dynamics on the show. As the drama intensifies, the impact of these intertwined storylines extends beyond mere character arcs. The emerging conflicts and revelations not only redefine individual relationships, but also rewrite the overall narrative trajectory of the young and the restless. The dual focus on mystery and manipulation sets up a scenario where audience expectations are constantly challenged. Lily's persistent quest for truth, coupled with the enigma surrounding Damian and Holden, creates an atmosphere ripe for dramatic confrontations and unforeseen plot twists. Simultaneously, Summer's decision to share Victor's agenda exposes vulnerabilities within the established order of relationships. The resulting rifts have the potential to reshape the social fabric of the community as loyalties are tested and alliances shift. Interplay of trust and betrayal. The central theme emerging from these developments is the constant interplay between trust and betrayal. Lily's internal conflict, driven by suspicion, echoes the broader issues of loyalty that resonate throughout the series. The inherent tension within these relationships underscores the show's recurring motif that every revelation, every secret, has a consequence. Characters are likely to be forced into making difficult decisions, balancing their personal needs against the allure of discovering deeper truths. Potential future trajectories. Looking ahead, the narrative is poised at a turning point. If Lily's investigations yield conclusive evidence about Damian's or Holden's hidden agendas, it could set off a chain reaction affecting not just their relationships with Lily, but also the wider network of alliances. Concurrently, the public unveiling of Victor's designs by Summer might force characters like Kyle to reassess their personal priorities, igniting transformative changes in established pairings. The show's writers have masterfully managed to create a tension-filled environment where characters are constantly testing each other's allegiances and exposed vulnerabilities. This ability to bind the personal with the political in terms of family power dynamics is what keeps the narrative both engaging and unpredictable. Complexity in character arcs. The current narrative intricately weaves contrasting themes of investigation and manipulation, highlighting the dynamic interplay between character arcs. Lily's proactive approach to uncovering hidden secrets places her in the role of an informed, albeit cautious, protagonist. Her relentless pursuit reflects her commitment to ensuring authenticity in her relationships, even if it means challenging those she cares about. Meanwhile, the enigmatic identities of Damian and Holden continue to be pivotal as they challenge traditional portrayals of loyalty and trust. Their layered backgrounds, populated with previous ventures and carefully concealed truths, serve as the perfect counterbalance to Lily's probing nature, ensuring that every revelation is laden with significance. Victor Newman's pervasive influence. Victor Newman's scheming is emblematic of the controlling power dynamics prevalent throughout The Young and the Restless. His long-standing strategies to shape relationships for personal or familial gain reinforce the notion that in this universe, appearances are often deceptive. Victor's past actions and his current manipulations hint at a deeper game that goes beyond individual relationships, reflecting a broader narrative about power, control, and destiny. Summer Newman's decision to expose Victor's intentions is both courageous and controversial. By stepping into a role that challenges established guardianship, she disrupts the status quo and sets the stage for more reflective debates within the storyline. This revelation not only furthers character development but also builds tension that is likely to culminate in significant turning points in upcoming episodes. Tuesday, March 18, 2025. Today on The Young and the Restless, Cal discovers Victor wants him back with Summer. Lily is upset about Audra and Holden's lunch together, and Damian and Nate leave for Chicago. At Crimson Lights, Summer tells Kyle she was about to contact him. Her mother has been found. You're not going to believe this. She was kidnapped, and Sharon was also held captive. They were confined to an abandoned psychiatric clinic. Kyle wonders who would do such a thing, and why. Summer clarifies that there was no ransom demand, therefore they are unsure. She explains that Nick and Billy located them after receiving a text clue from the kidnapper. Kyle marvels at how strange everything sounds. They wonder who would do something so odd and why. They're still out there, so what's stopping them from targeting Phyllis, Sharon, or another family member? Kyle is sorry that Summer's family is being targeted. Summer appreciates his unwavering commitment and support. "Thank you for caring so much about me," Kyle says as Claire steps in. Kyle and Summer fill Claire in on Phyllis's abduction by Sharon. Claire understands how dangerous that may be. Summer laments that her family has been targeted by a series of psychopaths. She believes Sharon is more responsible than her mother for these attacks. Kyle cautions her that they do not know the motive. Summer is pleased they spoke to Harrison about it, as a student at school warned him his grandmother might never return. It only happened this morning. Fortunately, they had prepared him. Claire is relieved that Summer arrived in time to pick up Kyle. Summer is delighted she agrees. Claire assures her cousin that the evening worked out well for her and Kyle. It was a win-win situation for everyone. Summer fixes a coffee with a sad expression as Kyle and Claire agree to meet for dinner and kiss later. Claire says goodbye and expresses her relief that her mother has returned before leaving. Summer asks Kyle for lunch, and they can spend an hour or two talking about their son. Kyle smiles. At Society, Holden notices Audra and teases her about her phone addiction. She snarks. "Aren't you meant to be back in Los Angeles?" His flight was cancelled due to weather. She's relieved the delay had nothing to do with her. If he said otherwise, he would be lying. Knowing he'd be confined here for a while reminded him of her. Audra reminds him that their past is just that, the past. Holden tells her that she pledged to be a friend. Audra expresses that he is unable to renew their relationship beyond that. Holden respects her relationship with Nate, unlike his feelings towards Tucker. He questions why she continues to push him away while accepting coffee invitations. She's sending mixed signals. Audra sighed. He's correct. There's something I need to come clean about. Audra informs Holden that Nate read his message and texted back, "You've got one," when he asked to be her buddy. Holden wonders why Nate would do that, and Audra can only assume he was attempting to prove he wasn't envious. Holden wonders what she would have said if Nate had not spoken for her. Audra isn't sure. She doesn't mind having a friendship with him, but she can't trust him not to take advantage of the circumstances. Holden gives her his word. Audra is still skeptical. Holden invites her to eat lunch with him. Audra claims she is waiting for Nate. Holden agrees and offers to stay and join her for lunch. Audra tells him that he's pushing his luck. He grins. Lily is on the verge of signing a new talent at Nate's. Devin notices that she is becoming more involved in his business. She'll give them further information after the ink dries. Devin is delighted she came on board. Lily also has information on a major tour. Devin and Nate tease her for strutting her stuff. Then Damian knocks on the door. He asks Nate if his mother has been admitted to a hospital in Chicago. Nate frowns. Is she okay? Damian hopes there is no cause for concern, but all he knows is she was admitted. She mentioned something about a new experimental treatment. Nate is taken aback. He last heard she was awaiting word on whether or not she was a viable contender. Damian believes he is out of the loop. Nate checks his phone and sees that Amy and Dr. Kelly both attempted to contact him. He steps out to return the call. Damian apologizes to Lily and Devin for disrupting their meeting. He wonders why they needed to accept his mother so quickly. Devin feels it's wonderful that they're not wasting time. Damian expresses concern about the possibility of something going wrong. Damian claims he's been through this before, losing a parent too soon. It's traumatic. Lily informs him that she and Devin have gone through similar experiences and empathize. Devin believes Amy felt confident enough to consent to the procedure. Nate appears and says that's correct. They're treating her and watching for a reaction. Dr. Kelly decided it was best to start the regimen straight away. Damian is concerned that they are hurrying Amy into this, but Nate assures him that she is in the best possible hands. Damian is concerned about not being there with her. He'd like to get there before it starts. Nate feels she'd like to have him with her. He recommends they both travel to Chicago so they can be there before she is discharged. Damian believes that's an excellent concept. Lily and Devin promise Nate that they will cover for him while he is gone. Damian expresses how much it means to him to have his brother present. Nate informs Audra that he will be unable to attend lunch since he is traveling to Chicago with his brother. At Society, Holden attempts to cajole Audra into another drink, but she tells him he is trying too hard and will not be joining her and Nate for lunch. Nate then phones to let her know that he and Damian are on their way to Chicago. She knows Amy will appreciate having them both there, so she urges him to give the woman her love. She disconnects, and Holden muses, "It looks like you're free after all." Devin asks Damian how he likes Genoa City thus far. He finds it charming and hard not to fall in love with the people. Lily knows it's far from the glamour of Los Angeles. Damian chuckles. She obviously doesn't know anything about his life there. Amy mentions that she lived there years ago. Damian wonders why she left or didn't return to remain, as it seems like a good fit for her. Devin believes he should ask her. There were so many questions they wished they could have asked their father when he went away. Damian is currently concentrating on her health. Nate enters with a bag, and Lily and Devin leave. Damian asks Nate if they may stop by the club, so he can also purchase a bag. Nate says, "Of course." Damian shakes his hand, thanking him for everything. Nate smiles. At Society, Audra and Holden sit at a table, and he pushes her for another drink. She resists, and he thinks about the fun-loving Audra from Los Angeles. She claims that version of herself does not exist anymore. Holden does not believe her. Audra does not care. Holden reminds her of their boozy lunches at El Coyote. Audra groans and complains about him ordering margaritas in pitchers. Holden smiles as she recalls singing Metallica songs at the top of her lungs. "That was fun." Audra chuckles. "It was." Just then, Devin and Lily enter. They request to be let in on the joke. Audra shifts the subject to Nate traveling to Chicago with Damian. Lily claims they just returned from his apartment. Holden claims he has met Lily before, but not Devin. Audra thinks Amy's treatment will improve her situation. She has grown to care deeply about her. Something about her makes her heart melt. Lily snarks that she's been brighter recently, what with all the laughing and joking. Holden informs Audra that Nate's family does not appear to have warmed up to her. Kyle and Summer come into the GCAC and instantly encounter Victor, who hails his beautiful granddaughter and says hello to Kyle. At their table, Lily asks Devin what he thinks it was all about. He asks why the two of them are together. Summer claims Claire bailed on lunch with Kyle, so she took him for a compassion meal. Victor inquires about Kyle's current situation at Jabot. Kyle says everything is going nicely. He and Summer approach their table, but Kyle steps back. There's no way he's pleased that things are going well between him and his father at Jabot. Why is he inquiring about Jabot? What exactly are you attempting to find out? He definitely wants to know if there's any trouble between him and Jack. What is your obsession with my family? Why can't he just move on? Victor pretends he has forgotten about them all and wishes him a pleasant day. Nate and Damian enter the club's foyer, and Damian proceeds upstairs to retrieve his suitcase. Nate sends a message for Amy, informing her that he and Damian are on their way to Chicago and will see her soon. Kyle complains to Summer in the dining room that Victor's every move has an ulterior agenda. Summer admits that he'd like to know about any fresh tensions in the Abbott household. She believes it is primarily due to his loathing of Jack, but she is confident Claire is now involved as well. Kyle wonders why he bothers whether he and Claire are together. Summer admits, "I think my grandpa thinks you, and I should get back together." Kyle wonders whether he truly believes he can push them back together. Summer adds they both understand how much he values his family. He's always meddling. He feels he is the puppet master who can control everyone's lives. Kyle questions why he would want them together. Summer claims he made a point of reminding her they have a child. She's not pushing for this. She's only understanding what her granddad believes. Kyle is certain she is correct, but he believes it is wrong to put Claire in this situation. In the foyer, Nate informs Damian that he has left a voicemail for Amy. Damian praises him once more for everything he has done. All they need now is for the treatment to work. Nate understands that Damian has had a difficult time, but the outcome may be better than they could have dreamed. Damian would prefer that. Nate claps his shoulder. Have faith. At Society, Devin warns Lily not to make too much of Audra and Holden's meal. They knew each other in Los Angeles. Nate doesn't want them interfering. Lily believes that this new scenario is entering Nate's life from all angles. She fears it's an ambush and suspects there's more to the tale than Damian and Holden are giving them. Today's Young and the Restless recap airs in the United States on Tuesday, March 18, 2025, and one day earlier in Canada. We provide YNR recaps every day. Summer finds Kyle and tells him about her mother. Kyle wonders who kidnapped Sharon and Phyllis and demands on a rationale. Summer claims they were kidnapped for no apparent reason. Something about the situation continues to haunt her. She refuses to rest as long as the abductor is still at large. She appreciates his assistance during this time. Claire walks in and sees them cuddling. Audra wonders why Holden hasn't returned to Los Angeles. Holden claims his flight was canceled due to strong thunderstorms. He'd be lying if he said his outings about town had nothing to do with her. Seeing her makes him feel less resentful of the wait. Audra wonders what she needs to do. She reminds him of the past. Holden admires how connected Audra and Nate appear to be. He mentions that Audra is sending confusing signals, and he is unsure what to think. Audra acknowledges that she let Holden be deceived and presumes something. Holden wants further information. Audra claims the text came from Nate. She thinks Nate is attempting to show that he isn't envious. She isn't opposed to being Holden's friend, but she doesn't trust him not to take advantage of the circumstances. Holden wants to prove himself to her. Audra does not think there is a way. Holden wants them to eat lunch and believes Nate won't object because he isn't jealous. Audra accuses him of pushing his luck. Lily meets with Nate and Devin to discuss Winter's business. Damian knocks and asks if Amy has been admitted to the hospital in Chicago. Nate is surprised and curious as to what happened. Damian stated that Amy's doctor wants to begin the new experimental treatment immediately. He advises Nate to check his phone. Nate realizes he has missed their calls and leaves to return them. Damian apologizes to Devin and Lily for disrupting their meeting. Lily hopes that this is good news for Amy. Damian wonders why it was so important for her to be admitted. Devin says it's a good thing they're not wasting time. Lily warns Damian not to jump to conclusions. Damian is still grieving over his father's death and is unwilling to confront it again. Lily understands the pain of losing a parent. Damian believes he is bracing himself for bad news. Nate re-enters and informs Damian that Dr. Kelly believed it was best to begin therapy immediately away. He assures Damian that his mother is in excellent hands. Damian wonders if he has time to visit Chicago. Nate offers that they both accompany her when she is released. Claire inquires of Summer about Phyllis. Claire cannot believe both ladies were kidnapped. Summer is fed up with psychopaths targeting her family. Kyle informs her that they don't know who is responsible for the recent incident. Summer believes it has more to do with Sharon than her mother. Claire is pleased that they prepared Harrison for the issue and assures Summer that the date has been wrecked. Claire informs Kyle that she is unable to attend lunch and is merely there to pick up an order for herself and Nikki. They kiss goodbye. Claire bids Summer a solemn farewell and is pleased for Phyllis. Summer invites Kyle to join her for lunch. Damian is astonished to learn that Nate wants to accompany him to Chicago. Nate apologizes for intruding. Damian believes it is an excellent concept. Lily believes Amy will be pleased to see them. Nate needs to inform Audra that he will be unable to make their lunch. Victor is astonished to find Summer and Kyle together. Summer claims she's treating Kyle to a compassion lunch because Claire had to leave. Victor asks Kyle how he and Jack are getting along at Jabot. Kyle informs him that things couldn't be better, and Victor is startled. Summer intervenes and leads Kyle to their table. Kyle returns to Victor, reminding him of his doomsday prophecies for his family. He knows Victor cannot be happy. He wants to know what Victor is actually looking for. Victor reveals he doesn't care about Jack and Kyle's relationship. He claims he was simply being courteous in front of Summer. Kyle doesn't believe Victor's narrative. Holden buys another round of drinks. Nate calls Audra. She is relieved to hear about Amy and understands why he must leave. Holden mentions that Audra is suddenly available for lunch. Audra and Holden sit at a table for lunch. She encourages him not to have any thoughts. He offers her another drink, but she points out the time of day and says one is plenty for her. Holden reminds her that the Audra he knew never changed her drinking habits based on the rise and fall of the sun. Audra stresses that she is no longer that person. Nate goes to pack, and Damian makes small talk with Lily and Devin. Damian assures them he understands the allure of Genoa City. Lily thinks it must be a vast cry from the glitz of Los Angeles. Damian wonders why Amy ever left town and why she never came back to stay. Devin informs Damian about the questions that he and Lily never asked Neil. He does not want Damian to fall into the same trap as Amy. Damian is solely concerned with getting his mother through this treatment. Nate comes down with his luggage. Lily and Devin wish them a safe trip. Damian expresses gratitude to Nate for everything. Lily and Devin are surprised to see Audra eating lunch with Holden. Lily can't help but comment on Audra's excellent time. Audra introduces Holden. She hopes Amy's treatment is successful. Lily and Devin approach their table. Holden implies that Nate's family has not warmed up to Audra. Audra nods in agreement. Nathan leaves a message for Amy, and Damon collects his luggage. Damian returns, hoping for a happy ending. Nate encourages him to have faith. Summer wonders if Victor said anything to anger Kyle. Kyle says Victor does this all the time. He is still convinced Victor is planning against his family. Summer does not feel this as paranoid. She believes her grandfather wants they should reconcile. Kyle asks why Victor believes he can bring them back together. Victor, according to Summer, focuses on his family. Kyle maintains that Victor cannot govern their personal lives. She is aware that Victor considers himself the puppet master. Summer argues that she is not advocating for this. Kyle despises how Victor has put Claire in the middle of this. Summer says she agrees, but Lily can't stop thinking about Audrey and Holden. Devin warns his sister not to read too much into it. Nate is about to go on a disastrous and tragic journey, according to Lily. Devin points out that they don't need them to protect themselves. Lily does not agree with her brother.